All right.
And we're live. Good evening, everybody. Little
How's it?
technical difficulties right before I had to reboot everything. Router. I'm just going to bring it up here. Anthony, sounds like you're got a little bit of a cold.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. My wife brought home. You know, she as you may know, she works in a hospital, and she brought
You got
something
the
home.
plague.
Yeah, we all got it. She brought something home last week, and then James got it, and then I got it.
Oh no. Well,
So my
you
voice.
could have one of these. This would take care of you if you had one of these.
I heard Bailey's might.
Oh, anything. Look at that bear. He looks awful happy. Anyway, who do
Looked
we
like he
got?
was-
We got 5 on already.
Mm.
So let's start off. What are you drinking? A little tea with honey?
Yeah, right. No, I should.
Yeah.
I should be drinking that, but I'm drinking coffee.
Hmm.
You know, I put the coffee in the microwave for, because the coffee I made it a few hours ago. I got to put it in the microwave for 2 minutes, and it stays warm for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
By the time I get halfway through, it's just lukewarm.
Oh, that's wonderful. Nick, if you're watching, this is for you. It's your favorite. Anyway,
Excuse me.
so, good week.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
I heard from Mike, and I think you saw the text right before we came on. That I think he's receiving 2 boxes, so we'll have 50 books altogether in Saturday. I think. I want to say.
So do we have like another Wednesday unboxing with Mike next week?
Maybe, or we might even just go nuts and do it on Saturday. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff going on this weekend.
There you go.
The basement's in the middle of being remodeled. Right now, there is a friend of mine who's an electrician and a plumber, and he's down fixing a heat run because we're getting spray foam in the basement in the morning. So that's got to get all situated so that when they come along and foam, that everything's all set.
Yeah.
We didn't discover it till today that it was out of whack. So. Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah, as owning a house is, it's always a lot of fun owning a house.
Yeah. The little things they don't tell you about when you buy a house built in 1961. So,
yeah.
As long as I got Deathlock up there helping me, I'll be okay.
Yeah, Deathlock's helping.
So, the heat is off, so I got my sweater on. It's a little bit of freezing rain here today.
We got that here too.
Yeah, but it's going to go down. But I looked at the forecast before I came on too. It looks like it might hit 50 on Sunday. So
yeah,
that's a heat wave for up here this time of year.
But tomorrow it's supposed to be 50 around here.
Yeah.
So by the afternoon, I guess. So whatever freezes.
Warm, right?
Yeah.
That was fun last week, huh?
Yeah, it was.
I felt a little bad because we didn't get to really talk with Alan a lot, and he's really killer on research, and I plowed through probably another 20 of his videos from his backlog, and it's infinitely interesting to me because he covers a lot of topics that I wouldn't normally even think of reading, and now I want to read them. So it's good, and his editing's really good too. So it's kind of fun. So I told him afterward that because we lost him there at the end, he had internet, and he said he scrambled, tried to get his router restarted, and he just couldn't get it going. So I thought we'd have him on again, and I'd like to maybe discuss some of the more avant-garde books that are out there because he has a really good knowledge of them. And then, of course, we'll have Mike on again.
Of course. Yeah, Mike is always good to have on.
Everyone likes seeing Mike doing all of his crazy books that he gets. So
that's right. He's always unboxing.
He got over the weekend, right? Even up to the Niagara Falls Con, and he did awesome. You saw that he sent Anthony and I pictures. It was unbelievable, the stuff that he grabbed. So
yeah, he always seems to get the good stuff.
Yeah, I know. It was especially crazy when we were standing shoulder to shoulder with him at Charlotte, and then at the end of the day we'd look, and it's like, when the hell did he get that? I was next to him the whole day.
Yeah, he had a bunch of books.
Yeah,
at least when I was there on Saturday, he definitely
he filled his backpack both days. So
so
it's a lot.
And the books, some of those books came back he got last week, like that he got from Charlotte. I forget which ones. But I know what did he get? I know that came from Charlotte last week. But anyway, a lot of that stuff was just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun to see and look at. I tried to bid again this week on some bigger books and just got crushed on them. So
where did you bid on? Comic Link?
Oh no, just eBay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Comic Link doesn't end until next week, right?
Oh, I haven't been following.
I don't know either. I keep getting emails. They say, "Oh, this is on your want list. You want to bid on that?" And I don't know. I large part I just ignore it.
A lot of the stuff that I want, it's not just it's not coming up, or if it's just sometimes it's just too pricey. At least
like a couple of the books you and I talked about last week. One of them right after the show, if you remember, I was trying to get, and it went, I think, probably close to $200 over GPA, and it was a book that I wanted to keep. So I don't mind if I pay 110%, but I'm not going to pay 40%, 150% of what something selling for GPA is just crazy. So I'll sit back and wait.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing with a couple of books. So I know at least a couple of books. It's probably going to take me the whole year.
Yeah.
To get, which is fine.
You're kind of doing a thing too, where you're trying to replace books that you already have, right?
I do that every year. I usually replace like a good handful of books in addition to getting some new books. A few years ago, I wasn't doing that because there was so much that I wanted. But now, as I still want a lot, but it's not as a burning desire as it used to be. So then I start taking a step back and seeing what I can improve. I know I want to improve my Amazing 4 this year. I want to see if I can improve my Amazing 50. And in addition to getting some books that I don't have, like Amazing 2 and Amazing 12 and so forth and so on. But I recently improved a couple ECs. That sometimes they come up.
You've really been lighting up the EC market. I sent EC an email. He replied back, and I told him what I'm looking for and roughly the grade and everything. So I'm sure he'll get back to me at some point.
Yeah.
A good source for that stuff, because right now on eBay, I don't know. It's eBay's weird right now. I think there's just a lot of speculator money still in there.
There are a lot of, we saw DS Comics. Was it a couple weeks ago? I think he had an auction where some things were going for less money. But you look on eBay now at some of those EC books, and the asking price for some of them is absolutely ridiculous.
Several $100 over.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at, there's one on there. I was fortunate enough to get this. Tales from the Crypt number 24. It's the zombie pulling the guy into the quicksand. And there's one for sale, and I'm looking at the price of that. I'm like, where the hell? I'm not being picky or anything like that, and I can understand some people want to make a little bit more money, but I'm looking at the price of that 2.0 beater copy. Like, where the hell do you get over $1,000 for that book? I mean,
it's almost like they're fishing,
seeing who will. I'm sorry for my voice, everyone. But they're seeing who will pull the trigger, who desperately needs it, because it's not an easy book to find.
I think there's a segment of people out there, and I think EC buyers are like this. Some of them are, and I see them at shows. They don't care what something costs. They're not in it to resell. They're going to keep that book till they die. They just want it. So
that's very, very true.
They look. Oh, look at that. There's 24. Oh, it's $1,000. Buy.
There are some guys on the group that I belong to on Facebook that just buy. It doesn't matter. It seems like it doesn't matter how much. Just buy every EC that's out there. So I'm like, it must cost a fortune.
There's a certain logic to that. I mean, I guess if you think about it, if you look at, like a very common book like Hulk 181, if you bought that like a year and a half ago, it's gone up anywhere between 15 and 20%, and I mean, that's an insane return on your investment, and you could have overpaid 10% on that book a year ago
and still be okay.
Made 10-15% on your money, which that's crazy. So
in 2014, I had a couple copies of that. I have a 6.0 copy. I had a 7.0 copy.
Wow.
And I sold it back in 2014. You don't want to know what I sold that for.
No.
I mean,
what did you get now?
I don't want to think about what I could have got now, but I did what I did.
It just seems like the demand on that book is just always there. It's omnipresent, and it seems like it's getting bigger.
Well, it is. It's getting I think good copies of it. Anything above 5.0 are starting to get out of range for a lot of people, because you look at a 5.0.
It could end up being the Amazing Fantasy of the Bronze Age, or it kind of is, really.
It really is, because both are very common They're not
rare. There really are a lot of them. If you look at the census, there's a lot of them out there, but they're in collections.
And every now and then the book plateaus, but then it goes up again, and then it goes up, then it plateaus, and it goes up again. It's like those are like those two books people just want because the characters. Don't forget, the characters are very popular. They're not just spec characters,
and they're not just movie characters. I mean, those are
exactly
to the Marvel universe. So
yeah.
And I think that's why the FF book goes up there and the Hulk and all those as well. So,
well, Hulk 1 is more rare than some of those other silver premieres.
Yeah.
And I think it has a great cover. I like the cover. I like the colors in it. I mean,
it was the second book, right? I mean, you had Fantastic Four, and then you had Hulk, and then was it Amazing Fantasy came out, and then Journey into Mystery?
They both came out. Journey into Mystery and Amazing Fantasy 15 came out the same month.
Okay, I thought one was a month ahead of the other one.
Maybe. You might be right on that. Maybe you're right. Maybe someone will correct me.
Those are the 4 books, really. And what's funny about that is Journey into Mystery has kind of always been, the redhead stepchild of the bunch. It doesn't seem that.
I never got it. But
Thor was never popular, a character for me, at least growing up as a kid. I liked him, and he was in the Avengers, and I read his books, and Kirby Run was cool and stuff, but it was never, I don't think, even as popular as like Captain America or Iron Man. At least growing up, it wasn't. All the kids I knew.
I see, for me, a character like Thor, as it is with Hercules, I've always had trouble accepting those characters in the comic book world because they're mythology characters.
Yeah, not real, but they're real.
Right. They've been done before in literature and so forth. So sure. I liked looking at comic book characters that were just created for comics. Yeah. That's just the way my mind works. I'm not saying that makes sense to anybody else.
I do think too, to a certain degree, when you're a kid,
I had trouble.
You couldn't relate to them because you're never going to be a god. You're already born.
Right.
Whereas these other guys, maybe you could invent armor. Maybe you would get super soldier serum or get hit by cosmic rays or a gamma bomb. That could still happen to you. And in the case of mutants, when you're a kid, when you first start reading that, you're like, 12, 13, and you're like, oh, it hits when you hit puberty. It's like, I can't wait till I get my powers.
I can't wait to use them for some purpose. Well, here's a question. Speaking, piggybacking off of that, here's a question for you, Patrick. All right, let's say you were going to be a mutant.
Okay.
Not in a freakish way, or anything like that, but like your powers are going to manifest. What powers do you have?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
What you're a mutant.
Yeah.
And your powers are going to manifest. They're going to show themselves. What powers, you as a mutant, what do you have?
What are your abilities? One, I think the best one is if you're invulnerable.
Yeah, I hear that.
Because everything else to me is secondary. Strength is great, but if you can be shot and killed, what good is strength? And if you can be burned or whatever. Flight's cool, but same thing. Birds can fly and birds get shot. I guess I would want to be bulletproof. I think above all others. If I was going to be a hero, just for fun, flight. I would want to be able to fly.
Okay, cool, very cool.
Yeah,
that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, I don't want any projectile energy or any of that stuff because you fall asleep, or if you're a light sleeper and someone walks in the room and startles you and you blow a hole through them. Sorry.
Say half their head blown off and you see the steam coming off half their.
Yeah, walk that off. You'll be okay.
Pretty cool.
What would you pick?
I would probably want Mr. Sinister's powers.
Oh, wow. Manipulation?
Like mind control.
Yeah. That one's kind of evil. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd be going down.
That one would be hard to not abuse, I guess, is what it is.
Oh, I would abuse it 100%. I have no intention. I have no intention of being a good guy. That's what I would use.
Bad guy. I don't think I would hurt people, but
it depends.
I would probably knock off a bank or two if I had that ability.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm not thinking about banks. I'm thinking about literally being Mr. Sinister.
Doing awful things to groups of people. Yeah.
Watching in the shadows and manipulating. If I couldn't have those powers, I wouldn't mind having Magneto's powers. Because, metal's everywhere.
Yeah.
Some form of, you can manipulate that. Here we are, that theme of manipulation again.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everywhere. I can manipulate guns and all these other sort of things. I'm sure there are things that'll be invented like they are in the movies. That
well, you know, you always watch, and telekinesis always seems to be one of the big powers that, you know, if you had, I don't mean like you could pick up a water cup. I mean, like if you could pick a car up and throw it with your, that would be pretty cool. But again, you're still a soft person. So
yeah, it's almost like a force power, you know?
Yeah.
You know, like if you've the Jedi or Sith, whatever.
Yeah, no, I totally like that. Yeah. So anyway,
yes,
getting on to tonight's topic, what I thought we'd talk about, and it's something that I've thought about, and it really kind of came to me. I binge watched The Umbrella Academy this week, and I remember when it came out and Gerard Way wrote it. You know, the guy that was in My Chemical Romance, and really he wasn't known for comic books, but apparently he grew up working in a comic book store, and he always wanted to be. Went to school for graphic arts and stuff. He always wanted to be in comic books. He just happened to kind of have a band thing happen for him, and I got to thinking about, because I saw a few videos after I watched it. I wanted to see some things about the cast, and a lot of these people are doing things that they're just very. Most of them are younger, so maybe it's just me being a slightly stay off my lawn moment, but they're just bitching about, oh, it's not like the original source material. And you know what? And I'm going back to forever. You know, it's not as good as the book. I hear people say that, and I just want to poke them in the eye. It's like, it's different. One's not better than the other, I don't think. I just like seeing it up on the screen, and I read a little bit of the Umbrella Academy when it came out back. That was back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, and I thought it was kind of cool. The artwork was different. It reminded me of Mike Mignola art a little bit. What is his name? Gabriel Ba or Bay? I don't know how you say his name. He's from like Latin America, Brazil, somewhere like that. And it was cool, but it had a cartooniness to it that I seen that for whatever reason it isn't in my wheelhouse. I don't like to watch that stuff. So, but anyway, the show I thought was great. So anyone hasn't seen it, I thought it was very well done. It's very quirky and fun. I haven't seen Doom Patrol yet, which oddly enough he ended up writing.
I heard good reviews.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but to me, it's the best Netflix superhero type show that I've seen yet, by far. And it got me to thinking. The question, just a very broad question, is what's better, the comic source material or the TV movies that are out there? And then to think of the shows that you like and the comics and heroes that you like, and which one would you think is better? And I just think it's an interesting thing to talk about.
Shall I go?
You can go. I think I sent you some questions too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I think it's a really good topic.
You've done several videos on this topic actually with your EC.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
For me, it depends on what era it is. Like the things of today. The movies, the TV shows where they take liberties and all that stuff. It's not like the comic. I don't mind as much. I think, sometimes it annoys me, but it doesn't really bother me. I still am able to watch it and enjoy it. And I think some of the changes that are made from the comic to the film adaptation or the TV adaptation are for the best.
I agree.
Because some of the things in the comics don't translate well to the screen, or just are kind of like stupid to begin with, and they just like maybe tweaked it a bit and gave it a better explanation.
The way Watchmen ended in the comic books, I thought was stupid. Yeah. And in the movie, it was much better handled.
Yes, I agree completely.
Tentacle monster.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
But some would argue it would have been cool.
Then going off to the island and bioengineering this thing. It just.
But I think sure there are people out there that would say, oh, it would have been cool to see the tentacle monster and all that stuff, and maybe there's some merit to that. But I do think that some of the improvements that have been made were for the best. Now, this era is 2008 to now.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little before 2000, the X-Men series and so forth. Now, older era, like the 70s and the 80s and so forth, I'm going to talk about EC. I preferred it to stay close to the source material as possible. Agreed that some of the changes that were made on the TV show were for the best.
You know what? I think that is so, because those ECs tend to be episodic anyway, right?
Yes, they are. They all are.
There's a long and rich continuity that you have to worry about them playing with.
No, there's no continuity. Yeah. I mean, other than they'll make references to each other. Mm-hmm. You know, the Crypt Keeper will mention, go check out the old hag in in her mag, and and stuff like that. Yeah. But towards the end of the Tales from the Crypt series, they would have titles that appeared in the book, but the story had nothing to do with it. It was completely changed. I mean, like literally, they just took the title and created their own story. And is that a big problem? No. I mean, they could do whatever they want, Mm-hmm. But for me, I was like, yeah, this isn't, and it wasn't even good. Mm-hmm. What they produced wasn't even good, and some of the changes that they made weren't good. So that's what I mean when it comes to eras.
Yeah.
Even in that era, you had the original Captain America movie.
I think the original Captain America movie.
Yeah. Like, the Red Skull's origin was completely redone. I
mean, he was Italian, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah. Like, what?
Captain America.
He's supposed to be a Nazi, I mean.
It's a spicy meatball.
It was so bizarre. The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren was so bad.
He did not look. I don't think he looked like Frank Castle. You could dye his hair black all you want.
Yeah,
that was not Frank Castle.
I don't know who that was.
Frank Castle is not,
with a Punisher sweatshirt on.
Yeah, he's not this like giant Swede. He does not have the features that the Punisher has.
Yeah.
You go back to the Fantastic Four, the Roger Corman. I mean, all this stuff was just so stupid.
Even the other ones that came out, I didn't think they were that good, but. That led me to another question too. I was thinking about the same topic. Do you find yourself, and this happened with me with Jurassic Park, is the first time I remember, because I read the Crichton books and I love both of them. But when you watch the movie, they change events and how things happen. And this has also happened in The Walking Dead. And I prefer the TV show to the comic book any day. I'm current on the comic. It's way too soap opera-ish in the comic book. I definitely prefer the show over the book. But at some point when you've seen both the movie and you've read the source material, in your head, when you remember it back now, which do you remember more? I typically remember the movies more, and I say that, and I thought about it today. The only time it doesn't seem to be true for me is when I think of the Marvel movies, that are the current good Marvel movies. Those I still remember the original stuff more than I do. But then on that list I sent you, like Hellboy, I enjoyed the movie infinitely better than the comic book.
Yeah.
The opening sequence of Hellboy, the first one, when they're in Nazi Germany and they first find him, and that is so well done. And really, for the most part, I think that whole first movie is pretty damn good.
It was good. I remember I was introduced to Hellboy by my friend Brian Quinn, who's an illustrator. Mm-hmm. We used to work in the same newspaper, and he's passing around the time when Hellboy came out, February 2004. He's passing around free comics of Hellboy. It's like, hey, you ever hear of this? You like comics, right? I was like, no, I never heard of Hellboy. Mm-hmm. And he says, here, check it out. That's how I got introduced to Hellboy. But I agree with everything you just said. Yeah. The whole movie was good. The introduction to Hellboy was good. The second movie, I think it was good, but it was like, more forgettable for me.
Yeah.
I thought that the first one was more fun.
I mean, in your canon, in your headspace, when you see movies now, does it supersede the written?
No.
Okay.
No. No. When I see Days of Future Past, I still think of the original story.
Oh yeah. And that goes back to what I said though. The Marvel stuff, that does stick in my head. And I don't know why that is, because like The Preacher is another great example. Infinitely, I like the show better than the comic book. The comic book to me was so dated. It was hard for me to get by some of the things in there. And Garth Ennis is just, sometimes his writing is very ham-fisted, and we get it. Okay, he likes to be weird just to be weird, I think, or profane just to be profane, or try to shock you. Where I don't think the show had that as much, and they monkeyed around with the story a lot in that.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying before, like Walking Dead, they fooled around with that story too, but I think they made it. I mean, I haven't been watching the last few seasons. I read what's been going on. I might catch an episode here and there, and from what I've seen and from what I read, I like what they did. Yeah. I mean, I did not like enough to watch the show again. I stopped watching after the governor stuff because I just got bored, with all that the Negan stuff and all that. So I was like, I couldn't care less about Negan.
Yeah, no, I agree. But the other thing too, and I think we touched on this in the past, is I think to a certain degree they have to have certain creative license, not just to make it all fit together, but to have more of a mass appeal. Because if you think about it, if they stayed true to this and everyone wore these skin-tight leotards and did things and acted the way they said, and anytime two heroes see each other, they got to fight before they talk. You know what I mean? Just like in a comic book. I don't think they would be anywhere near as successful as they are.
No, I agree.
So, and I think that they have to change certain things like that. And I'm sure there's purists out there that don't like it, but
so. That being said, what did you think went wrong with X-Men Apocalypse?
It was all over the place.
Because a lot of people,
I think the biggest thing, and I think I've mentioned this before, but if you don't have on set, if you don't have a script, a guy that's following the script on set, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, because they shoot movies out of sequence.
Yeah.
And the audience doesn't know what's going on here because we never told them. We never showed them that. We all know it because we know what's going to happen later. But it just there's no doesn't appear that there's anyone paying attention to that. It almost feels like each scene was directed by somebody different, and the whole X-Men series suffered that way, I think. And then it comes down to the practical things, the practical effects, the makeup. Some of the stuff just looks stupid. I remember the Beast. Clearly, it looked like you could practically see him swinging on strings when it was the guy that played Frasier when he was the Beast in that one.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah, he looked like a kid swinging on his swing in the backyard. It was just garbage. And
well, the problem with those movies is it's like I think they had an idea of some level of continuity, but sometimes really forgot about it, and it did seem like a little all over the place. You see, with the Marvel movies, cinematic universe, everything seems to be just following the script. They don't deviate from the script. They have an idea.
One guy steering the boat.
Now, yes, and with the X-Men movies in particular, they have an idea where they want to go, but then it seems like they're not following through with it entirely. It seems like something's missing, and that was very much apparent in Last Stand. I thought X2 was pretty good, but then the Last Stand the whole plot seemed rushed.
Yeah,
it seemed they're fighting Magneto again, and it's not even any more significant. It's not. They didn't bring any significance to it.
No,
and
sometimes those movies they seem like they rushed up, like almost like they're not going to let us make another one of these. Let's get everything out there that we got.
yeah, and that's the way it seemed with Apocalypse, like you were saying.
Oh, that scene where Xavier's trying to break loose or whatever. This just took forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't enjoy that movie at all.
But you were talking about like the way the characters look, like the spandex and all that stuff. Apocalypse had a lot of that.
Yeah, and it just looked like a Halloween mask that a kid would wear with grease paint, and look at my foam rubber mouth, and it just was terrible.
They could have made him look a little. They could have made him look a lot better if they spent more time doing it. Because look what they did with Thanos.
The whole thing was great, and then they just kind of blew it, and there's really no going back at this point. You see things on YouTube about people saying, "Oh, how can they save, the X-Men universe?" And I don't, let it go in the backyard and die. I don't think they're saving it, and I hope they don't, because I think they should start fresh.
I think they are.
Yeah,
I think they are going to start fresh, and they should. And that's what I like to say.
I think Deadpool can cut right over.
Well, because Deadpool, even in the film, doesn't take anything seriously, so it could easily you could write that in.
Well, the way that the X-Men, the few X-Men that were in there were done, I thought they were better done than any of the X-Men movies.
Well, like Colossus and the Juggernaut, the Juggernaut, I agree.
Yeah, it was garbage. The stuff before it was better than any of their appearances in any of the other movies. So, I easily could see them cutting them over that way.
Yeah, I thought that the Juggernaut was they did him completely CGI.
Yeah.
Right. And that's probably the way you have to do a character like that, because he is supposed to be so gigantic. You just can't get like little muscles on a guy and like the stupid helmet.
No, the amount of steroids and growth hormone, the guy would die after filming.
Yeah. So, but Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to be going on with the Dark Phoenix. I think that comes out in June. Then they got the New Mutants that comes out, I think, a few months later or whatever.
Oh, they have release dates now.
I believe I think X-Men does. I think it's like June 9th or whatever, or June 10th or whatever.
Yeah, it would be good. I thought maybe they were going to hold them just so that they could release them on their, that would be their big reason to subscribe to their new streaming service.
Well, I don't know.
It's an awful long way away. I don't see them waiting that long.
Yeah, and speaking of streaming services, we called it The Punisher and Jessica Jones was canceled.
Yeah. I figured, I wasn't surprised about that. But Jessica Jones, there is a season 3, right?
I don't know.
I thought they finished that.
I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like The Last Punisher. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it out of all the ones that I've seen. I didn't like Daredevil at all, and I know I'm in the minority, but
the whole show or season 3?
All the seasons. I thought it was garbage. I couldn't stand Iron Fist, the Daredevil or Defenders. I thought it was garbage. I liked the first 4 or 5 episodes of Luke Cage. I liked the first 2 seasons of Jessica Jones. I like both of them, and then Punisher season 2 I liked a lot.
Yeah,
I could have done without the whole Billy plot, but the rest of it I thought was pretty good.
Yeah. That's true. The most captivating part of that season was John Pilgrim, I thought.
Yeah, I would have liked to see him more than anything. They could have followed him around, and I would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
I think Daredevil. I've never been a huge Daredevil fan anyway, and I just think I didn't like the guy that cast for it. I didn't think I thought he was bad. I just thought he was a bad actor. I'm just glad that it's done, and maybe they'll have them appear in future Marvel movies. We'll see.
Maybe they should do that. Have them whatever direction. Who knows what direction they're going? But maybe that's the next step.
People speculating, and this is going to happen. And just wait. Why can't you? You can't just wait. We're 2 weeks away from Captain Marvel coming out, and I hope it's fantastic. And I hope all those people that got on there said, "Oh, she sucks," and this and that. I hope that they do a follow up and say, "I was wrong. It was great." If it is great, it might not be. It looks like it's going to be pretty good to me. We'll see. It's going to be tough. I mean, there's a long history with that character, and if they try to shoehorn all into a 2-hour movie, I think they're going to have a hard time. But
I'm more interested in the Avengers. I mean,
yeah.
Captain Marvel does nothing for me.
No, but it's a setup. It's a setup movie, kind of like Black Panther was the year before, where everything that happened in that kind of set up the Avengers movie that followed a few months later. So
we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. What big role she takes in.
I'm trying to think. I don't have them in front of me. What were the other questions I think I sent to you?
Oh, let's take a look.
All right, survey says. I got them up here.
Okay, are you okay with the creative license taken so often? Do the screen versions try to appeal to a larger audience? I think we answered all that.
Oh, Legion, that's another one. Infinitely, I like the show better than the comic, than the original.
Which one?
Legion. I was not at all a fan of the Bill Sienkiewicz run in the book. The art's okay, I guess. It's different. Some people really like it. I didn't think the storyline was particularly great. I think that the Legion, the character in the comic, was just way too overpowered. He kind of got there at the end of season 2. Spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Well, that's the problem.
I like the aesthetic of the show a lot. I like that mid-century modern kind of 70s-ish look to it. Oliver for me is the best character on the show.
Yeah, I haven't watched Legion. Yeah. It's just never had the time to go check that out. Oh, what about Gotham? Speaking of things that don't necessarily follow the original source material, what do you think of Gotham?
I stopped watching Gotham, I think, I don't know, maybe 6 episodes in. I'm just not big on network TV. For me is really hard to watch because they have to spoon feed it to everybody, and they have to dumb it down so much to make mass appeal. It's difficult to watch for me at least. And I don't have a ton of time to do that stuff. I'd rather read than watch TV. And Netflix, really, I watch some of the stuff, and I don't know. That's about it, really. I mean, in movies, I love movies. I watch a lot of movies.
Gotham for me, I stopped watching. I think this was season 2, when there was like an evil Bruce Wayne that showed up, an evil little Bruce Wayne. All these people were released from this hospital run by Hugo Strange. I forget what season it was. And there was a clone of Bruce Wayne. And I was like, and they gave him long hair, sort of like that Spock thing where, okay, we're going to differentiate the good and the bad. This one's going to have a goatee and this one's not going to have a goatee. This one's going to have long hippie-like hair and this one's going to look clean cut. I was like, oh my God, this is such garbage. And I just stopped watching. And a lot of the characters, I just felt that the writing wasn't good on that show because it's just so blatant. A lot of these characters,
contrived, derivative. Like a lot of people got crazy about the Flash show, and I thought, okay, everyone loves this. This must be great. I thought it was garbage, and it felt like most people too young to remember. It felt like no place with people with tights on. It just like a really bad episode of Friends Halloween edition or something. And Arrow was even worse. And
I couldn't get into that.
I don't know.
I could not get into Arrow.
And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., people said, oh, you got to watch it this season. It's good. I watched two episodes of it. It's like, this is garbage.
Yeah, S.H.I.E.L.D. was awful. It was awful.
I don't watch this garbage. I don't have time to watch this crap.
Is that show still on the air?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
S.H.I.E.L.D., really?
Yeah.
Well, DC, though, they've always had success with bringing their comic books to network TV. They've had Smallville. Oh, I still can't for the life of me understand the popularity of Smallville. It was really popular.
It's the same group that watches like One Tree Hill and stuff like that.
Yeah. But they had that. They had Lois and Clark, which wasn't that bad. When I was watching when I was a kid, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Well, back then, though, it was the only thing. So
it was the only thing.
You watched it.
But the best things to watch back then were those animated series. The X-Men, the Batman, the Fantastic Four, they were the best things to watch when it comes to story and development and so forth, not the actual network shows. But
I think some of the really good shows that were kind of, I think, went over the main public's head. Shows like Firefly. I don't know if you ever saw that.
I haven't. I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I really like that. And Serenity, the movie that kind of ended it, was really, really good. I'm trying to think of other ones. Other TV shows.
It was really bad. Flash Gordon. They did a revamp about over 10 years ago. They did it on the Sci-Fi Channel. It didn't last. They did it on the Sci-Fi Channel where they reintroduced Flash Gordon. Now, that might sound like a pretty cool idea, but they completely changed everything around. Now, Emperor Ming now was like this CEO type corporate guy. I mean, it was still took place on Mongo. He looked nothing.
Was there a Queen soundtrack? If there wasn't a Queen soundtrack, I'm not in.
No Queen soundtrack. They should have had it. He looked nothing like Emperor Ming at all, which I think was by design. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And they changed other things around and so forth. But I guess that ties into one of the first things we talked about when they changed the source material. I mean, even the 1980 Flash Gordon, it stuck pretty well to the source material. I mean, Flash Gordon wasn't a football player. I forget what sport he played in the in the 30s strip. But it wasn't football, so they made a change there. But it did follow a lot of it. I mean, and it was written in a way to be corny.
Yeah, for the most part, I think I'm okay with them changing stuff around. I'll get back to like the Umbrella Club because it's fresh in my head. But like one of the main characters in it, in the comic book, his head was transplanted onto a gorilla body. In the show, something else happened, and I don't know. I think it was better. I think overall the storylines were better. And I think some of it too is, even though it is Netflix, they can't have it as gory, I think, as the comic book.
That's the comic.
Now, I did watch Polar, which was really good and super gory. It made Punisher, look like a ice cream social because it was unbelievably violent. So if you're not familiar with the graphic novel that it's based on, it's on Netflix. If anyone hasn't seen it, you want a fun, goofy movie to watch on a Friday night, watch Polar. I think the guy was in Hannibal on TV.
What's his name? Mads Nicholson or something like that? Or
he has a complete deadpan face. It's fantastic for the role. And then the girl in it, you may not recognize, but it's Vanessa Hudgens. She plays the opposite him, the female kind of lead. pretty interesting as well. There's parts of it you feel like you're watching Wanted a little bit when you're watching it, the movie with James McAvoy and Morgan Freeman, which is another adaptation I think was great from the comic books. Now I haven't seen Split, or I've seen Split, but I haven't seen the new one, Glass.
Oh, Glass!
Everyone destroyed it. So
it wasn't good. Yeah, people saying it's not good.
Yeah, it's not. It's not from original comic source material, but it's a comic book-ish. And I liked Unbreakable a lot. So
I never saw any of those.
Yeah, Unbreakable's pretty good. Yeah, M. Night Shyamalan, I think, is definitely a hit or miss kind of guy. And I don't think his movies stand up for watching them more than once. If you watch like Signs a second time, some of the stuff in it doesn't make any sense. And,
well, I think a lot of his stuff, it's based on like this twist ending. A lot, or something to that effect. Well, when you see it again, it loses its suspense. Like, what's going on here? What happens? Oh my God, it's shock. Then when you see it again, it's like, well, okay, I know he's dead. Okay, I know how these aliens, what's going on here? And so forth. The village. Okay, I know the village. It's all fake.
Yeah. Once that gets lifted, then it's really ruined.
Yeah. It relies too heavily on that.
That are 20 years old. I'm sorry.
No, it relies too heavily on that. It relies too heavily on that sort of that sort of style. But
I mean, so I guess for the most part, for me, I like. I don't know. It seems like I like that. I went through a list and I sent you a list of them. But other than the Marvel source material, I seem to like the live action stuff better.
Oh yeah.
Than the comics. I look at Walking Dead. I look at Preacher, Umbrella Academy. I like better.
Well, you take a look at the Infinity War. That's different from the source material.
Oh, it's way better than the source material. If you read the comic book,
they try to give in the movie. They try to give some sort of reasoning, logical reasoning.
It's a good reason why he's doing it. And this is the guy trying to get a girl in the comic book.
Yeah, he figures, once again, stupid story, most part. And a lot of the characters are absent, obviously because of certain reasons, licensing reasons and so forth.
Death's not there. There's not an embodiment of death.
There's no death. There's Adam Warlock. There's no Adam Warlock.
Yeah, and Surfer. He was in the story. And
so forth. But it is different. It's all different. And I think that what they put on the screen was 10 times better, and I'm so anxious to see how they're going to end it all and where they're going to go from here. Not trying to predict anything, but I'm very, very much looking forward to that.
Oh, I totally am. And I saw something.
I heard it's 3 hours.
It's still over 3 hours.
I heard it's 3 hours. I don't know if it's over 3 hours.
I don't care. I don't care if it was 6 hours. I'd go sit and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd put on a pair of Depends and not leave the theater.
I won't even go there. I won't even put Depends on.
Wow. Well, I'm going to double big gulps and just get in there. I'm totally looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Captain Marvel movie. I don't know. I thought Brie Larson, I've seen her in other things. She was in the King Kong movie. I thought she was fine in that. I don't know. I think people just need to wait and see. They're so used to this hot pocket society that we live in now. You get instant gratification on everything. And, how many thumbs up that I get on my Instagram post? The people are used to that endorphin rush and they want everything like that. They don't want to wait for anything. They don't believe in, delayed gratification. It's just wait and watch it, and then make a choice. Don't make a choice or decision on a 31-second clip you saw during the Super Bowl.
that seems to be the issue. It's definitely the issue with our society today. People rush to judgment on things.
No, they totally do. Totally do. Or worse yet, they let other people do the thinking for them. They'll watch, CNN or Fox News and think that's what's really going on in the world. Guess gotta go a little deeper in that. But anyway, getting off on bad tangents here.
Be careful. Some thumbs down are
funny. I posted the promo for this last night.
I got thumbs down.
30 seconds. So whoever it is, he's got the bell turned on. He must be a subscriber, or she has the bell.
Probably a he.
In the second I posted it, I was just texting you, hey, the promo's up. What do you think? And then I went back and looked at it. I already had a thumbs down. I'm like, it hasn't even been a minute.
I was talking.
Not like the picture.
I was talking to another YouTuber. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name or anything, but I was talking to another YouTuber about what we just discussed, like a thumbs down. He's like, I don't get it. What's with that? And I was like, dude, don't let it bother you. Don't let it, deter you.
You shouldn't even be talking about it, because that's the only thing trolls truly like, is to be recognized.
Yeah, I said, continue doing what you're doing. He's like, yeah, I know, but I'm like, what is the purpose of that? It's just like, and we went over some issues that I'm not going to get into. But
you should acknowledge some of the people that are in here. I keep forgetting that. I see Silver Age Dave here. Hey, Dave.
We've been on for 45 minutes. Can you believe that?
I know. We're blathering on here. I'm sorry, everybody. I see Sleepy Readers on. Knights of Old. Hey, dude. We got Regs on. Hello. He's up near cold where we are. Isn't he from New York?
Oh,
Chris Winsky's on. Todd Hobeck's on. Who else we got on here? Or you said Silver Age Dave, right?
Yes, you did.
AG Surfer.
AG Surfer.
He's a big commenter.
AG?
Yeah, he's got quick fingers. Anyway, I'm not going to go all the way back. But welcome, everybody.
I just got the notification that Luther Manning is live.
Oh, good.
So I have that little bell.
Yeah, I didn't look. I can't see that. I have the chat up, so I can't see if there's how many thumbs down I've garnered already.
I don't know.
Anyway,
did you get any?
I watched Damien's video today. I really enjoyed it.
What was that?
Damien. He did a video. He had a kind of a very unique haul. I would say it was as random as the video you did that came up, the Affordable Keys.
Yeah.
But like he started the video off with a cult book, and then he did I don't even know what it was. It was like a book that I'd never even heard of before. So it's just interesting to see.
Oh, well, I'm sure that Little Reaper is going to be banging his head on the door and within 5 minutes.
They're just on. There's a guy here working on the heating system, and every time he comes up and down the stairs that are over that way, my dogs freak out. So,
are they biting him?
No, there's a door, but they can't see him.
Yeah.
Up here he comes again. Get ready.
So you said earlier in the chat that you were bidding on a couple of things and squashed.
Yeah, like I have my what I call my blue chip books. So like Tales of Suspense 39 and Hulk #1 and Amazing Fantasy 15, the books that are that I eventually want to get. And
Can you explain what the blue chip means?
To me, blue chip, there's only a few of them. So it's like Amazing Fantasy 15, Hulk #1, Fantastic Four 1, X-Men 1. Basically like first appearances that I consider very key big books, big time books. Obviously Genuine Mystery is one of those.
Yes.
Next tier down, I'd say like you got Avengers 1 and books like that. Like Doctor Doom's first appearance. Captain America's first appearance. Those I would consider not quite blue chip.
Yeah, the silver.
Yeah, so those are books but then below the second tier of blue chips, there's other books that I just like from the Silver Age, like Fantastic Four #3. I love that cover. I actually like that cover better than FF1. I like the cover of Hulk 3 better than Hulk 1. It's another book that I think it's got that red cover, and he's got Rick Jones and the army guys like, oh, he can fly now. I think it's just a great cover. The Fantastic Four 3, I love the layout of it with the fantastic car. It looks like a bathtub, and it's the first time they get their uniforms, and it's just great way Kirby laid that whole thing out. So there's those tiers, and those are books that I look for frequently, but even those ones now are just starting to go. And I think what you end up with is people that can't maybe justify buying a Hulk 1 or Fantastic Four 1, so they still want a single digit. So they'll go after whatever. And I think that's why you see this year you've seen, and end of last year really, a huge rush on Amazing Spider-Man #1, because Amazing Fantasy for most collectors is out of reach. It's not out of reach. It's out of reach. And for me, it's not even a money thing. I mean, someone could pull together the 14, 15 grand, whatever they needed to get that, but they don't want to. And Hulk is getting that way for me, because once Hulk gets over 10 grand, I'm out. I won't buy it. If it gets over $10,000 for a 2.0, I'm out. I won't spend that kind of money on that book. I like the character. I don't love the character, and its historical significance is great. But it's probably a third book. I would say Amazing Fantasy is probably the top book in the public side. For me, it's Fantastic Four 1. But I'd say Amazing Fantasy, Fantastic Four 1, then probably Hulk as far as Marvel books go. But I don't want to spend that kind of money. I would rather have 6 or 7 other books than that one book.
Yeah, I understand. Like with my want list for this year.
Yeah.
Like Amazing Spider-Man 1's on it, but I highly doubt I'm going to get it this year because I'd rather have all 9 other books than Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly would, because the money it's going to take to get that.
Yeah.
I'm like, say, then I have just that one book, and like you were saying, people go for the one because the fantasy's out of reach.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I already got the fantasy, so I don't need to make the rush for one. If I wind up not getting one, who cares? I have the fantasy. Yeah. But I'd rather have the others. Like I would like to have 2. I'd like to upgrade my 4. I'd like to have, the other horror books and all that stuff. So
I did complete my Marvel Treasury.
Very nice.
With the original 1 through 28, the ones that are actually numbered. I mean, you have other ones like I have like Master Kung Fu's first one. He has his own standalone. And Spider-Man has several standalones, and then you have like Spider-Man, Superman. You have Batman, Hulk. You have a bunch of them like that. And then I have some of the DC ones, but not all of them.
I've been making some additions to my Tales from the Crypts and so forth. I think I'm about maybe 10 or 11 away from completing that run.
So will you complete the run?
The Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No. Is that to be a completist, or do you actually want those books?
I want all those books. Okay. I may not get them all this year. Yeah. It may take me, a little while, but absolutely. I will do that, and then I'll work on Vault of Horror, and then I'll work on Shock, Haunt, Crime.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
If we make it down to Charlotte, I think we can make a really good dent in that this year.
Well, so far I'm probably going to go by myself.
All right.
Because it wouldn't be a vacation for my wife because Little Reaper would be on a rampage. He's just not at the age right now to withstand a trip like that to Charlotte, or even to go into the place. He'll throw himself down on the floor and have a fit as soon as he sees a toy.
Or worse, run behind a counter and knock down like an entire wall.
Oh, God. Imagine that. If he
ran behind like Dale Roberts and just ran down the line and knocked 30
He'll do that, though. Like, if you tell him no, he will purposely grab something and throw it. Like, he'll imagine him grabbing, like, one of Dale's, like, Tales of Suspense 39, and throwing the slab against the wall, knocking that wall down, and hitting freaking New Force in the head.
Yeah, there's a guy, too. I hope he's there. I hope he's recovering.
I bet you.
I enjoyed visiting with him.
He just made a post on Instagram showing like 10 X-Men #1s.
Good for him.
He's hoping to have graded. He'll be there.
Yeah. There's a certain food item I'm going to make sure I bring to him to torment him with. So,
what, chili?
No. There's a certain thing that he hates.
I forgot what it was.
I remember it. So I'll be torturing Rick with it when I get there. But yeah, I think that was my first year last year going to it, and it is kind of a spectacle. That was the biggest one I've been to. I've never been to San Diego. I've never been to New York. I've been to other regional ones around here, but that is a serious con when you walk in there. And you got Jim Steranko and people like that just kind of standing there. So it's it's definitely different than seeing some inker from the '60s.
What do you mean, like Larry Liebler?
Yeah. He's alive. He's dead, right?
I think he's still alive.
That's Stan Lee's little brother.
Yeah, he's like 90, I think.
Well, go see him quick because he's probably going to be saying hey to his brother by the end of the year.
Oh, jeez. And I'm the one that said I wanted to be like Mr. Sinister.
I emailed Silver Age Dave a few weeks back, and he actually said, one of the first things he said is, "You're one of my favorites on YouTube, but I think you might be a supervillain."
I'm convinced that you're really the Emperor from Star Wars. You just haven't become the Emperor yet. But you are the Emperor. Like after this chat, he'll like have one of those little candid conversations with me, the way the guy did in the movie, the Emperor did.
Yeah.
Like, oh, so they finally are watching your. They're finally watching your videos now, huh?
Yeah.
It's about time. Like, sort of like beefing me up, like to do bad things for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I do seem to have an influence. Bring the worst out in people sometimes, apparently, but I don't know why that is.
Can you give me an example?
No, I can't. I'm just thinking a few things that happened weird out in Charlotte, but things we can't mention on air. Anyway.
Well, I tried to get you to do a couple bad things.
Yeah. You tried to get me to buy a Rusty Staple copy of X-Men 1.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you're the one that spotted it.
Yeah, I was trying to get you to buy the book, and then I spotted the Rusty Staples, and we both moved back as if like someone just shit on us.
I had to go to the bathroom and wash my hands. Yeah, that was worse than like using a truck stop bathroom or something, touching that filth.
It's like, I'll get this thing out of here.
756. I don't even know if we talked about. Oh, one thing I wanted to talk about last week when I got off air. There's an independent publisher. His name is Peter Simeti, and he owns Alterna Comics, and he prints on newsprint, and it's kind of like a miniature image. So I every now and again I'll tune into his live chats, and he has them on late, like they're 10 late. Sorry again, I'm old. I know, I get it. 10 o'clock's late for me. Anyway, he was on the live chat, and he had a guy named Dave who runs a local shop that I'm here with. So right in the middle of the interview, you hear this pounding on his door. He leaves. The door opens up. It's the cops. And somebody did this thing that's called swatting, where they'll call in like a violent crime to your address, so the cops show up. Somebody did it intentionally to disrupt his live stream.
Oh, God.
And so he came back on. And obviously, he's visibly shaken because, he had cops. They had their guns drawn and the whole thing. So some jerk out there did this thing to him. It's probably either a competitor or somebody that's jealous. I don't know. I know he was involved with Comicsgate, and they tried to – or some – people tried to get his distribution shut down and whatever. But I was watching the thing live, and it was insane the way this whole thing fell out. And it's just amazing to me that there's people out there like that. And it got me to think about the thumbs down people. And at first you get mad, and then in another way you kind of feel bad for them. Well, that's all they have. If all they have is to thumbs down somebody or call in this thing to the cops or whatever, it's just sad. I feel sad for those people that
the internet has opened up the floodgates to all sorts of people.
Yeah.
Internet tough guys, people that will do stuff like that to give them some sort of meaning in their lives. So after a while, even though we were shocked at it, after when you think about it, you're like, well, I'm not that shocked after a while.
Yeah. It's just sad, it's too bad that people like that don't have someone that they can talk to or whatever. Or I don't know. I don't know what their motivation is. It's just sad that it happens. And I hate when I see that happen on here. I mean, even if it's YouTube people that I don't necessarily watch the video, some people are into stuff that I'm not into.
Well, just some people
I don't like to see that kind of crap. And it's definitely, it's like bullying. And it's just, this little thing that we all have going here is pretty fun, and I enjoy the heck out of it. So I'm glad for the most part things are like that, and I do get thumbs down, and occasionally I get a nasty comment, but for the most part you just turn the other cheek and roll with it. But I imagine it's hard on a day-to-day. I mean, that guy, from what I've seen, he's done nothing but good for people. He's helped kids, guys create and get their books and stories out there, and everyone else is slamming the door in their face. So I'm glad for him that he's soldiering on and keeping up with it. So, it's pretty cool. So that's my piece on that. But it was amazing the way it unfolded. And I'm going to go see Dave owns the comic shop that I've shown in my videos a lot. First Print Comics, it's called. And it's a good old time, comic book shop. The way that of all the shops I go to, that one and then the other one, Rhinos, I go to, those two seem to have guys there that actually are hobbyists. They're not just in there trying to get, the 1 in 50 variant. They're actually there and they want to talk about comic books. Or I've gone there and you see a father and son digging through the old things and they're trying to complete a Captain America run from the 70s or something together. It's just a cool shop. So I want to get Dave's take on it because he talked afterward, I'm sure, with Peter. And it's just crazy. Nuts thing that happened.
Yeah, it sounds pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it is now 8 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. or gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't think there are any women on here, so sorry if you offended anybody.
Yeah.
That's weird. We got to try to get that up, right? I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get
that was pretty funny what you just said.
Get that up. Yeah. I don't know how to get that. I'm sure these guys will have a field day with that, or people on the rewind they'll have a field day with that.
It's like, oh, did you hear what he just said?
Yeah, we can't. So we have to get a mature rating on this video.
Yeah, there goes our G rating.
So I don't, next week we'll see what happens. I would love it if people get more comments. We'll see. Maybe we'll get some other people on. I have reached out to a few of you YouTubers out there, and
you can always reach out to me too if you want. If you're interested.
Yeah. Anthony has a much larger subscriber base. To
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram. You're all over the internet. This is the only thing I do. So.
And we typically stay away from investment questions, correct? Or no?
Yeah, for the most part. It's a part of the hobby that, I'm not, I guess it's kind of hypocritical of me to say, but I do sell comics. Obviously I only slab books, I clean them, I press them, I slab them, only to sell. And it's only to buy more comic books. I like I said, and I think I've said it a number of times, I haven't spent a single penny out of my pocket since I came back in the hobby. So
that's amazing. That's really amazing.
And I came back with a plan that I was going to liquidate stuff. I sold 25 long boxes. I've sold hundreds of books online, and in person I've traded with dealers, so in shop owners, things like that. So it can be done for those of you out there that are thinking maybe you can't do it. Really go through the cull process. I call it, where you hold a book in your hand, and if you don't love it and you don't see yourself enjoying it in the years to come, sell it. Because you don't want to drag that with you. It's weight. If you have 30 boxes, if you have 20 boxes, even 10 boxes, go through them. And whatever you don't really love, trade, give away, sell, and then get stuff you really care about, stuff maybe you always wanted. Or instead of buying 10 books for $20 a piece, go buy a $200 book that you're really going to love to have in your collection. And not everyone can go out there and buy a Fantastic Four 1 or Amazing Fantasy. That's why I love the series you did, the 4-part there, Anthony, with the Affordable Keys. Somebody's key might be, Nova 1. Maybe they love Richard Rider, and that's awesome. If that's your thing and you can attain it and get that, go for it and get it. I think that's what the hobby's all about. I think a lot of guys make YouTube videos because they feel like, oh, I don't have anything to show, or I think your enthusiasm is what you need to show, not so much what you have. You should love what you have more than love what you don't have. I guess the long and short of it.
I agree.
Take an assessment. Do the culling. It'll set you free, believe me.
Well,
anyway, hopefully we'll see what's going on. Keep an eye out. If Mike and I do one, we'll probably do it this weekend. We might even do it live. Maybe we'll do one box on Saturday or Sunday, and then we'll do another box live on Wednesday. But stay tuned. I'll keep everyone updated. And anything else, Anthony? You good?
I am good for this week.
Yeah, I made it through. Get some fluids and get some rest. Take a couple aspirin, that kind of thing. And until next week, everybody. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of comics. Thanks for stopping in.
Take care.